Well, if he really was filming everybody, I mean, he had a lot of people at those parties, right? You know who said?
Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did.
I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, hey, will you help me? I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there, just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, you know, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to fuck you. That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh.
You know?
Sounds rough, man.
Well, it's just amazing how many people on the Diddy party list that are supporting Kamala, too.
Yeah, seriously. It's like insane.
Publicly, openly, like all in.
Yes. It's like J-Lo was like his ex-girlfriend. and it's like now deciding she's like warning people against Trump. I'm like, well, wait a second. So how many people did she warn against Diddy?
Right.
Oh, 0. Okay.
Right.
Well, maybe we shouldn't trust her opinion.
Joe Roger, Terrence Howard, and Katt Williams abruptly left after some crazy files linked to Dottie began making the rounds. Now, even Elon Musk is joining in, hurling crude jabs at well-known white celebrities caught up in this whole convoluted story, some of whom are already attempting to flee the nation as if it were a race against time.
What up, King Son? Man, you doing it, man. You deserve it, Daddy. You putting in that work. Proud of you. I love you. Yeah.
Let's clarify this now. Don't come knocking like I made it up. Everything here is directly from the internet rumors and sources who are supposedly close to the situation. I'm only outlining what the streets are saying.
If you don't mind me asking, because I know the topic is sensitive, what happened to Usher?
I heard about some music executive from the industry back in Harlem. You know, I heard it from some music executives back in Harlem. And I'm not going to speak on their name. They doing programs and everything like that, and they may be doing something, they may speak on it themselves. But I heard it from some music executives.
Where did you hear?
Bro, you know how people be talking, and we was around some people, something like that, and then some people might say, yo, I don't F with that dude. And at the time, I didn't even know who the F Usher was. You know what I'm saying? It was one of those type of situations. And when somebody say, yo, man, I don't F with them, I'm getting out that industry and everything like that. You know, Puff sent this little kid to the hospital. How he sent him to the hospital? Man, nigga was bleeding from the, and that's what was said. But I didn't even have a name for the kid at the time. Then you heard, and that's what happened. So, and just to hear this, and this new thing where they saying that they got kids coming forward and said that he did that, man, that shit is crazy. And like I just said, you know, that's just something that I heard.
Fresh tea is leaking directly from the prison where Diddy is imprisoned in Z, and it sounds like he's about to flip to save himself. According to Joe, Terrence, and Katt, some of the people who are about to be caught in the crossfire are major names, but one name that really caught people off guard was hinted at online. People claim that when Steve learned of Diddy's indictment, he didn't just dip. Instead, he vanished. He even went into ghost mode very quickly, wiping his social media accounts, clean and deleting anything that could connect him to Diddy.
That's my brother right here from day one. We used to wake up and, damn, pause, but like, check this out. Back in the days when he was like 10 and I was a little bit older.
Steve even went back and removed a tweet from 2017 in which he referred to Diddy as a brother who was doing well for these kids. Yes, that one aged like spoilt milk, and the more you look into it, the more bleak it seems.
I have 3 right now who are willing to give testimony about not only what Mr. Carter has done to them, but his wife as well. They're a nasty little couple. They do nasty things.
What do you think happened with Kim?
Keeping people against their will. Putting people on planes while they're unconscious. Just like Aaliyah got on that plane. Unconscious. There's a lot of things that people don't want to talk about.
Back in the day, Steve was acting as though nothing was wrong. He was on vacation in Italy with Diddy and Lori Harvey, who, let's not forget, had recently dumped Diddy's son Justin in order to start dating Diddy himself. However, what really made people uneasy was a picture of Lori sporting white nail polish. It may seem strange, but if you've been following the details of her lawsuit, which revealed that Diddy had a creepy obsession, he forced every woman in his vicinity to wear white nails during his so-called freak-offs. It wasn't for fashion, rather, it was for visual contrast in the unsettling tapes he kept of those nights, she claims.
She doesn't have a picture with him. I'm smarter than Claudia Jordan. I would never take a picture with the devil. Everyone knew he was the devil. He's been the devil for 30 years.
The crazy part is that it turns out that young Miami had white nails and even embraced his own mother. This led people to ask serious questions like, did Steve Harvey really not know about this? Or was he rubbing shoulders with him to gain more? Access to Hollywood's inner circle back then? Back then, Steve Harvey wasn't just a celebrity. He was a billionaire who ran Revolt TV and hung out with the most influential producers in the industry. For this reason, people online are saying that if he decides to come forward, we might finally understand why he left the country as if his life depended on it. But it doesn't end there.
Birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear friends. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
It's a special birthday for both of us.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Meek Mill. Ever since his arrest made headlines, Meek has been extremely quiet. Almost too quiet. Which is odd given that he and Daisy weren't just industry friends. They had a history together. You all remember that strange pool video of Doke in the water calling Meek daddy and saying, "I love you"? At the time, people laughed it off. But now that clip hits completely differently, it didn't age well at all. And right when Doke's legal storm began to spiral out of lawsuits naming names left and right, guess what happened?
The irony is, there was a grand jury. We all had to go and speak at the grand jury. J-Lo testified at the grand jury, as did many other people. It needs to be reopened, because if that is in fact the case, she carried the gun in and she lied to the grand jury. It needs to be reopened.
Little Rod, the person who filed one of the lawsuits against Diddy, claimed that Diddy was bending Meek Mill and throwing him deals as payback. That kind of accusation left people speechless. So what did Meek do? He packed his bags and left for Africa, then began tweeting cryptic things. One tweet even claimed that he paid $100 to find out who was attempting to connect his name to Diddy, but the internet isn't letting this one go at all.
Do all those things. When you give up those things, but when you give up your manhood, I've never seen somebody recover from it. That was all the people that went to the puffy parties. That was all the people that did all those things thinking that there was never going to be a consequence for what they were doing.
Meek is reportedly in full-blown damage control mode because he may have been caught on actual footage that the feds obtained. If that is even partially true, it will only be a question of when or if the truth comes to light when this case formally begins. But in the meantime, he is out there acting as though nothing is happening. And let's face it, no one is buying it. However, Meek isn't the only one who is in disarray. Usher's name is being pulled as well. He has been close to Diddy for a long time, and now people are looking into that old connection.
Yeah, no, it's great. So tell me about your birthday party. Am I invited?
Yes. Yes, you're definitely invited. I invite you to all my parties. You just haven't seemed to show up.
No, well, is it on the East Coast?
Yes.
Well, that's why. Why don't you have one here on the West Coast? Because I work all the time.
Okay, well, maybe I have one at your house.
Where's Now, what time would your party start, let's say?
That's a different type of party, though.
Uh-huh.
No, it'll go from like 9:30 to like maybe 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And then, we have the top 2 floors of the hotel.
Mm-hmm. And then it will carry on there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Then no, I mean the after party.
Mm-hmm. No, I know about them.
Usher was allegedly sent to Diddy's flavor camp when he was just 13 years old. And now people are wondering what actually happened behind closed doors. Not to mention Diddy's former bodyguard, Gene, who dropped a bombshell when he said that Diddy sent Usher to the hospital bleeding from, you know what? That's not just unsettling, it's terrifying. If that wasn't enough to make people laugh, watch that old Kevin Hart interview where Diddy joked about waking up in bed with Usher when they were younger. Now that all these dark truths are coming to light, isn't nobody laughing? Diddy is speaking. The barriers are getting closer.
All of these big dick deviants is all catching hell in 2024. It's up for all of them. It don't matter if you Diddy or whoever you is.
Jay-Z and Diddy stayed close for years. Kathy White was Jay-Z's secret. She knew too much. Before she could speak out, she died suddenly. Questions still surround her silence today.
You know, I think part of why Kamala is getting so much support is that if Trump wins, that Epstein client list is going to become public. And some of those billionaires behind Kamala are terrified of that outcome.
Jay-Z and Diddy stayed close for years. Kathy White was Jay-Z's secret. She knew too much. Before she could speak out, she died suddenly. Questions still surround her silence today.
Who's the person that's number one on that invitation list?
Leonardo DiCaprio.
And I can get on that list,
Yes,
right?
without a doubt, you are.
Usher was allegedly sent to Danny's so-called flavor camp when he was just 13 years old. And now people are wondering what actually happened behind closed doors. Not to mention the incident involving his former bodyguard Jane, who dropped a bombshell when he said that Danny sent Usher to the hospital bleeding from, you know what? That's not just unsettling, it's terrifying. If that wasn't enough to raise eyebrows, watch that old Kevin Hart interview where Danny joked about waking up in bed with you.
Wow, okay, I've got a lot I can't tell. So, I can't tell that one either. I mean, I'm like actually cycling through them. There was one moment, so it's not really a party story, but our relationship was really bizarre. So it started over punked, because he was like, yo,
don't punk
you
me.
can't punk me. And I was like, I don't know what to tell you. Everybody's on the table. He's like, not me, I'm off the table. And so that started our conversation. We became fast friends, and we used to just hang out, watch football together.
The kicker is that she allegedly died after becoming pregnant by him. This has long been a whispered rumor, but now people are claiming that Diddy may have receipts, tapes, texts, or something significant. And if that's true, it's nuclear level. However, that's not the only scandal Jay has been involved in. A few months ago, an unidentified woman filed a lawsuit accusing Diddy and Jay-Z of SA after the 2000 VMS. She claimed it happened at some exclusive after-party in a New York apartment, but
Puffy invited me for weeks asking me to come and teach him wanted me to be his acting coach for a while. He's sitting around just looking. I'm like, okay, what's the material you want to work on? He's just looking at me. Then next thing you know, okay, I want to hear your music. So I come over there and I play the music. And he's sitting there, just looking at me, like waiting. Okay. So then my assistant was like, he wants to hang out with you next week. And I was like, for what? He's like, I think he's trying to.
Come on now, dog.
That's what my assistant said. And I was like, oh.
Come on, man.
Now I get it. Producers coming to make the approach. And you punch them in the mouth. Knock their head off for talking to you like, or looking at you like you're a woman. You know, when you approach a real man about his masculinity, you're going to get a real reaction back. It's a difference when a guy walks in a room and when a man walks into a room. And a man don't take the same things that a guy will accept. So always be the man in the room.
Yeah. Now, I've had to turn down $50 million 4 times. 4 times. Just to protect my integrity and that virgin hole I was telling you about. Right. Because P. Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did. I did. Martin tried to put me in my first dress. When he had to go on his hiatus, he tell me, Katt, when I come back, I need you. You my young partner, you my brother in comedy. When I come back, just promise me that my next movie, it'll be me and you. We gonna do it together. We gonna do some buddy cop shit. I said, Martin, you got my word. Go do what you gotta do. When you come back, I'm in your movie. Don't trip. I don't need to see the script or nothing. You know, we get in that office and this fool pull out Big Mama's house too.
I ran in to put on the dress. I mean, you know, you have to have boundaries. You have to have limits that you refuse to cross.
The new pope is 9-year-old Oscar nominee Pavenshanay Wallace.
Jaguar Wright entered the fray and struck hard at Jay-Z, adding to the commotion, and fans are hawkishly observing every move. Jaguar Wright didn't hold back when she called Jay-Z the devil and said that he was just as dirty as Danny, if not more so. If Danny is sitting on anything that connects Jay to those so-called freak-offs, it's game over. And how could anyone forget that awkward flashback to that notorious club shooting with Shine? Sources now claim that JLO knew exactly what happened and that she was the one who supposedly carried the weapon in her purse before lying to the grand jury. This is not just crazy. it is illegal.
So, you know, some of us make choices. I think it's not a biggest choice for others. I'm saying at the end of the day, Kevin doesn't have to worry about what people are going to say about him wearing a dress because of the long line of dress-wearing people before him. So now we have Big Mama's house 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
I've never seen Medea in a pantsuit. I think she wears dresses. So now I'm saying, why are we picking on poor little Kevin Hart? Because it was his turn next.
Okay.
Some of us are against the Illuminati, and we are against the Illuminati at our own detriment.
After Joe Rogers broke everything down in detail, Katt Williams stepped in and turned the heat up even more. Let's just say he didn't hold back for years, but now that the entire industry is under fire, many people are beginning to acknowledge that he may have been way ahead of the game because Katt made it clear that it doesn't matter if you're black, white, or anything in between if you were out here moving funny behind the scenes. And guess who else is being looked at sideways? Leonardo DiCaprio. The moment this whole crazy story began to unravel, Leo was spotted.
I'm not doing that. I don't feel comfortable with that. That should have been in a discussion. What? You don't feel comfortable with it? I mean, it's a hilarious bit. All the greats have done.
To Leo as his #1 VIP. When they were asked about Diddy's parties in that Hot Ones interview, Ashton became very apprehensive and said he had stories, but couldn't share them. Now that it's beginning to make sense why he held that party, they ran the New York Marathon together, and Ashton was the center of attention at Diddy's 2009 White Party.